Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the secondary Incarnon weapon, the Despair. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframes using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon built out by itself, and I let the viewers make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external things. Things like, hey, Salt put viral on the weapon, but I'm going to be using Nourish, which gives me viral, so maybe I'll choose a different element. Or Salt put a fire rate mod on the weapon, but I'm going to be using Wisp, which gives me fire rate, so maybe I'll use a different mod in that slot. Things like that. Alrighty. We have the top commenter of the last video, Prodigalink, the first commenter of the last video, Silver44, and our recent supporters of Toxic Sneeze, Johnny, and Eddie. Thank you so much for your support. And of course, we're doing the Despair Incarnon today. And the Despair Incarnon was suggested to us by commenter Broccoli9490, and that's why we're doing it. Let's go ahead and go down into the arsenal here. So the Despair are these throwing knife type weapons. They are one of the 3 weapons that the Stalker can drop. They're pretty decent. They're okay if you don't have the Incarnon mode, maybe a little bit lackluster, but with the Incarnon mode, they're actually really, really good. Now, what the Incarnon mode does is it's still throwing knives. However, now the throwing knives also have a 0.5 second delay, and then they explode in about a 4 meter radius and have a chance to apply heat procs. Okay. So let's get into the build here. Other interesting and unique things about the Despair. What I just said was probably the biggest one, is that you have that 0.5 second delay and then explosion. The weapon is also silent, which I guess is kind of a unique thing about it. And that's about it. Okay, so let's go over mods here. We're going to have Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot, Galvanized Crosshairs for crit chance, Creeping Bullseye for crit chance, Prime Target Cracker for crit damage, Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot, Frostbite for the 60-60 cold, and Pistol Pestilence for the 60-60 toxin, and these two together will make viral. And then we're going to have Primed Heated Charge for the 165% heat. So this is going to be giving us a more chance to produce more heat procs. So again, the weapon does have innate heat though as well, so you're just increasing your chance for more heat procs. Lethal Momentum in the Exilus slot for projectile speed. And in the Arcane slot, we're going to be going for Cascadia Flare. This is going to give us 480% flat damage. The other option for this slot would be Secondary Deadhead. Secondary Deadhead is only 360% flat damage, so you lose 120 flat damage, but you get a little bit more headshot multiplier. I do think for this specific setup, Flare is probably going to be better, because it's not that hard to keep up your heat procs. Now, this build is assuming that you did not have an external viral primer, and so you're going to be wanting to put viral on the weapon. I do have another build I want to show that is assuming that you do have an external viral primer, and it's just because viral priming is actually pretty easy nowadays, like through pets, through subsumes, things like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. It's going to be the exact same build. The only thing that has changed is we've taken out the 260-60s to make viral, and they're empty now, and we'll have to put something else in these spots here. But the other thing I wanted to go over is if you choose to not use a viral primer, or not choose to go viral on the weapon, I'm sorry. If you choose not to go viral on the weapon, is you can actually make the decision now to put cold in this slot instead of heat. And what that will do is that will change this from a pure heat build now to a blast build. And I was doing a lot of testing this morning on blast, and I really, really like the blast setup. Unfortunately, the blast setup doesn't allow you to also go viral because you need cold for both of them. So on the config A slot, you can't really be going blast. You have to go viral heat. But in the config B slot, it's very easy to go blast. You would just take off primed heated charge, type in cold, put on frostbite there, and boom, now I have blast. Now it's going to be a little bit confusing because if you look at the chart here, the regular attack is cold, obviously, because it's only cold. But even the Incarnon forms just says cold, and it's because, weirdly, the heat that's produced from the Incarnon is not shown on the chart here. But in-game, you will be producing blast by having frostbite here, because this frostbite will be mixing with the innate heat that the weapon has. And I really liked blast a lot. That's up to you, though. You can either go blast or you can keep it as the heat setup. I personally like blast because you get a little bit more instant gratification from it. Like, as soon as dudes die, you get the value, the entire value of the blast proc. Whereas heat, you kind of got to let them cook a bit. You know, they have to get a couple of ticks of damage to get your full value out of heat procs. So, you know, out of heat and blast, I personally like blast better, but maybe you like heat. Maybe you like heat. That's okay. Now, the thing to consider, though, if you do go blast, if you decide to put frostbite here, and you're going to go the blast setup, remember to remove Cascadia Flare, just because you're not going to be producing like consistent heat procs now. So you have to go with secondary Deadhead in that case. So if you want to keep heat here, Cascadia Flare is fine. If you want to go blast, take off Flare and put secondary Deadhead here instead. Okay, so now that we've gone over that, I'm going to go ahead and just put heat back on just for simplicity's sake. Do consider they're both different polarities, unfortunately. Primed Heated Charge is a dash, and the 60-60 Cold is a check mark. Okay, so for these two empty slots, what could possibly go here? Well, there's a couple of things. There's nothing that's like amazing, but there's a couple of things that can go here. There's Primed Fulmination. This increases the radius of weapons that have a radial attack by 44%. So the radial attack on the Despair, I believe, is like 3.9, and so this would kick it out to another like 1.5, maybe 2 meters. So instead of like an almost 4 meter radius, it would be like a 5.5 to almost 6 meter radius. So Prime Fulmination could be pretty decent. And then the other one that could be really good in this next slot here is the new magnetic mod, Magnetic Might. This gives you a little bit more crit damage, and this also gives you plus 60% magnetic. So, and again, this build is assuming that you have an external viral primer, and magnetic is also really good. It basically acts the same way as viral does, except it only works on dudes that have overguard and shields. So it's like, it's viral except for those, you know, different dudes that have overguard and shields. So could be really good having like an external viral primer, also having magnetic, and then having heat here. If you went with the blast setup, I might say that Magnetic Might's a bit weaker, because blast is selfish. Blast wants like it to be produced as much as possible. And so by muddying the waters, by adding magnetic, you'll get a lot less, well, not a lot less, but you will get less blast procs. And so it's kind of up to you there. I think with the heat setup, though, it's very easy to go Magnetic Might and then probably just the Fulmination in the slot here. Okay, so again, that is config A was assuming that you do not have an external viral primer, and so you're just going to put viral in the weapon itself, which is fine, perfectly fine. And config B is assuming you have an external viral primer, and yeah, you'd save 2 mod slots and you have to find other things to put here. So what I want to do now is I want to go over the evolutions for the Despair. So the first evolution is that you've just unlocked it. Congratulations. The second evolution here, this is a little bit of a spicy one. We have Fatal Affliction, increases base damage by plus 50, and you get plus 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target. It's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. I went on the condition overload mechanics page today. It looks like this is additive. It does not look multiplicative to me. It's listed on the condition overloads mechanic page, but I think it's listed because it has this evolution, not because it's actually multiplicative. And on its info, it says additive, like where everything that's multiplicative says multiplying. So I'm going to assume that this is just additive, but it's still okay, right? Like more additive damage is still fine. It's plus 50 base damage, which is really nice. And the other reason we go with this is because we have to compare it to the next one. This one on the side here is Stalker's Vendetta. Increases base damage by plus 60. Oh, okay, you get 10 more extra base damage. And then with the Dread and Hate equipped, multi-shot consumes ammo directly from capacity and does plus 100% damage. Now, the 100% damage is nice, but like sucking ammo out of your capacity really, really sucks. Like this weapon doesn't have ammo issues, and that will make you have ammo issues. That makes you have to use like ammo mods in the eggs list weirdly. And then also plus 30% multi-shot. You also have to use the Dread and the Hate with this together, which is very niche. Like, you're not always going to be wanting to use all three Stalker weapons. So I think there are cases maybe where Stalker's Vendetta could be good. Like, if you do really want to go for a full roleplay Stalker setup, you probably would pick Stalker's Vendetta. You would just have to make sure that you probably use an ammo mod in your Exilus slot for the Despair. But for a normal setup that you're not like role playing as Stalker, I believe Fatal Affliction is just better, and it's also just easy. There's no thinking involved in this. Just extra base damage and a little bit extra flat damage when you're hitting things that have statuses on them. Okay, in the third evolution slot, all of these are amazing, and you really can decide this on your own. Now, I am going to go with the negative 30% zoom, because I hate zoom. This weapon has a little bit of zoom. Our build is like a aim and try to headshot build. And doing that, it disorients me a little bit. It disorients me like being zoomed in so much. So I like to take that zoom away. So I really like marksman focus. However, some people like zoom. There are some crazy people out there that love zoom, and you know, zoom does make it easier to get headshots and things like that. So like, it does have its merits. It just kind of disorients me. I don't like zoom personally. But if you liked zoom, you could either go with the plus 50% projectile speed, which is even more projectile speed. Now the weapon really is just like feeling like an assault rifle instead of a throwing star. Or you can go with rapid reinforcement, which is plus 100% reload speed. Now, this is an Incarnon weapon, so you're not always going to need to reload, but reloading affects how quickly you go into Incarnon form, and plus 100% reload speed is really nice. So, again, me, myself, because I have those, I hate zoom, I'm going to be going for negative zoom, but if you don't care about the zoom, or if you like zoom, then I would say Swift Deliverance or Rapid Reinforcement, but man, Rapid Reinforcement is kind of looking sexy here with that plus 100% reload speed. Like I personally, if this wasn't here, like if I only had two choices, I'd probably go Rapid Reinforcement over Swift Deliverance, but that's also because I'm going for Lethal Momentum in the Exilus, which gives me plus 40% projectile speed already. But yeah, you can make that decision yourself. These are all just like little like quality of life improvements here. None of these are really like correct or incorrect choices. You just kind of choose whatever will personally help you out the best. And in the fourth evolution slot, we are going to be going for Critical Parallel. Increases base critical chance by plus 18%. Increases base critical damage multiplier by plus 0.4 times. This is going to be better than the other two. The other two are Survivor's Edge is base critical by 12, and then base status by 12. And then Elemental Balance is only status, but by plus 24 instead. So again, we're going for Critical Parallel here. So those are the evolutions. That's how to build out the Despair. I'm going to be showing this in gameplay on a big dumb Anaros with no Archon Shards or mods or Arcanes that increase weapon performance. No Sentinel weapon on my pet and no mods on my pet that increase weapon performance. Just so you can get a good look at what the Despair can do on its own. I'm also going to be doing the gameplay as if I did not have an external Viral Primer. And so I'll be using the first build here that has Viral and Heat. This is a pretty cool weapon, though. I really like this weapon.
Each enemy is more powerful than before. Only with true mastery of
Something to know too, this is a throwing weapon, so you can actually use that weird throwable mod, Concealed Explosions, which could make them explode again for like more damage. I personally don't really like it too much, but you never know. Maybe someone likes it. Maybe someone would want to use it. Now, this weapon with Galvanized Scope is going to be a really good mod for it, but it's not. You're not going to probably sit at your 5 stack like you normally do on some weapons with Galvanized Scope. Just because you're not going to be headshotting all the time. Like, it's not too hard to headshot in the non-Incarnon mode, but in the Incarnon mode, I mean, I guess you could headshot in the Incarnon mode too. I tend to spam the Incarnon mode, like, just into groups without, like, aiming carefully. Probably because I'm a doofus, you know, but, damn, Jade Exmus is trying to hunt me down over there somewhere. Yeah, I find myself, I usually sit at like a 2 or a 3 stack of scope instead of like my usual 5. Right now I'm sitting at 5 just because maybe I got lucky getting a few headshots. But most of the time I'll be sitting at 2 or 3 scope stacks, which is enough. It's enough to red crit. You can get lucky instead of 5. Hey, that's even better, but... you got to be a little bit more careful with your shots. Or your throws, I should say. Your throws. I guess I have been sitting at 5 stacks most of this game. I don't know. Maybe it's easier to get headshot kills than I think it is. Maybe I'm getting headshot kills with my Incarnon and just not really noticing them. Just because of all the damage numbers. The damage numbers are blocking my view. I'm just aiming head height and probably getting like headshot kills without realizing it. We're gonna have the Acolyte coming. Let's get ready for him. We got Violence, and Violence is down. That took about half a second. It's not too bad. Pretty good Acolyte killer. I've gotten a little bit lazy. I'm only at 4 stacks of scope now. And that wasn't a headshot kill, so I'm still at 4 stacks. There we go. Back at 5. Back at 5. Don't be afraid to go into Incarnon early, too. Like, I don't always wait for my Incarnon bar to be completely full. Yeah, I could tell I was getting lazy on my scope stacks, because that whole volley was like orange crits instead. Okay, I'm back up a bit. Oh no, little worm went down. That's okay. We don't need him too much on our ranged builds. Seeing a lot of oranges again. I must have gotten lazy getting headshot kills. Let's try to farm a few headshot kills here. Get back up to 5 stacks. We have 4. That'll be good enough for some reds.
You are running out of time. Consider extraction.
All right, let's hit like 1 life support here. Maybe even 2. Forgot the button for a second there. I was playing a lot of Helldivers yesterday, and I was pressing E instead of X. I've been playing too much Helldivers. You know, I should change my interaction key in Helldivers to X. That way it mimics Warframe. I've been trying to. I got back. I was big into Helldivers when it first came out, and then I kind of fell off for a bit. And I've been getting back into it. It's been fun. Back into tier 10s, which is, I think, the current highest difficulty. And they made it a lot easier. Like the current 10s kind of feel like the old 6 and 7s. So it's much easier, which it might be too easy, but it was too difficult previously. It was tier 10s were basically just running through the mission and avoiding enemies instead of fighting them. Which I don't like. I want to actually fight the enemies. So I used to play a lot of 9s instead of 10s because of that. But now the current 10s are, I feel like, a little bit too easy. But I don't know. I'll take them. I'll take them compared to the previous 10s. Like, I was a big bug player, and the previous 10s would have like 5 Bile Titans and like 8 to 10 Chargers up at once. There's nothing in your stratagem list that can deal with that. Like, even for all 4 players. So you would just completely disregard enemies and just run past them to do missions, which is kind of boring. You know, you don't want to do that in a game where you're meant to fight the bugs. All right, Salt, pay attention here. Stop talking about other games. You're losing your scope stacks. You're affecting your kill numbers. Get your head back in the game here. What are you doing, Torment? All right, he's dead. I wasn't even paying attention to Torment. So when I do these runs, meta ranged weapons, like or really good or meta ranged weapons, will be at about 900 and more kills in 10 minutes. Average weapons will be at about 500 or 600 kills in 10 minutes. So we'll see what this guy gets to. I think he's going to be close to the meta category. Hopefully my yapping didn't affect my kill numbers, because I'm a bad multitasker. As soon as I open my mouth, my efficiency goes down. I lose efficiency. Got like 30 seconds left. Oop, going to Incarnon. I thought I pressed that button already. I'm going to guess 800 kills. I think that's what I'm going to guess. Maybe even 900, though. 8 to 900 kills is going to be my guess for the 10-minute kill count. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Let's get maybe another few volleys of Incarnon out. All right, that's it. 10 minutes. Let's find extraction, and we'll take a gander here.
Hold out as long as you can.
888 kills, damn near close to that like top tier meta category. You know, and probably my yapping probably affected it. I probably could have got to 900 if I didn't all of a sudden start yapping about Helldivers, another game. So yeah, you know, this is I would consider this like in the meta category of the game. It's going to be doing really good damage, like a lot of the top tier Incarnons in the game. There's probably some, top tiers that are better. I would probably say like the Torrid is generally easier to use than this one is, and so you could probably get more total kills with the Torrid. But I mean, this one is not too far behind though either. So really good weapon. I would say it's easy to get, but it's RNG. Like, some people will get this on their first day of playing Warframe, and some people will be playing for 2 years without this ever dropping. So it's a little bit RNG. Like, I had no issue whatsoever getting all 3 Stalker weapons, but I've known a lot of people who are like, I've played for 47 years and have never seen the despair. So if that's you, I'm sorry, but maybe you'll get it one day. So if you like the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.